may have heard that you need to consume 1 gram of protein for every pound of ideal body weight. Sound advice if you're trying to win a bodybuilding competition. That's not you? Well, it's not me either. This video is for those of us who just want to optimize wellness. If you've ever wondered whether you're truly eating the right kind of protein or if you could be getting too much, you'll get your questions answered in the next few minutes. I'll reveal the healthiest protein choices for women over 50, the daily grams you actually need, and the hidden signs your body may be warning you about overload. Let's uncover how smart protein choices can power your energy, protect your muscles, and help you steer clear of those stealth side effects that too much protein can bring. And if you're new here, I'm Dr. Gayla Gorman, a licensed acupuncturist, naturopath, and author of What's Your Kryptonite? If you'd like to use complementary medicine, you'll need help talking to your doctor. You can get my free guide, How to Talk to Your Doctor So They Listen. Just comment guide or go to drgayla.com/links. On this channel, I'm here to help you reverse the effects of chronic stress so that you can cruise through midlife and beyond symptom-free, so that you can put an end to common midlife symptoms like chronic fatigue, insomnia, mood swings, issues with gut health, and even weight gain. Let's get started by talking about protein in particular for women over 50. As women enter midlife, maintaining optimal protein intake becomes crucial for muscle preservation, metabolic health, and overall well-being. This is undisputed. The quality and source of protein matters greatly, though, especially when avoiding processed foods, sugar, alcohol, dairy, gluten, and yeast, which is what I recommend in my Fierce 5 avoidance strategy. The best protein for women over 50 is kind of disputed at this point. Some people would recommend that you choose plant-based proteins. So choosing plant proteins lowers your saturated fat intake and can help reduce inflammation. So this is definitely important in midlife, but it doesn't tell you the whole story. If you are trying to opt for plant-based proteins, I have a whole video on the 10 best plant-based protein foods. So you'll want to check that out. Some of the benefits include providing fiber, phytonutrients, and essential minerals supporting digestive health, hormonal balance, and stable blood sugar levels. So I prefer actually lean animal proteins, particularly non-dairy whole food sources. The reason being is that animal proteins are much more efficient to consume when we're focused on getting enough protein. Animal proteins are highly bioavailable, meaning the body can really absorb and utilize their amino acids. This supports strength and energy really all day during midlife. Some examples include organic chicken, turkey, my personal favorite, wild-caught fish like salmon, sardines, mackerel. I personally am not a big fan of this kind of fatty fish, so I choose more lean fish, white fish like cod, that sort of thing. But in particular, grass-fed beef is a very efficient form of meat-based protein, and it's really rich in essential amino acids, which are vital for muscle maintenance and repair and support healthy aging. So the fish, like this salmon and sardines, but honestly, really any fish, provides heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. And this is important for cardiovascular health and for inflammation control. Another really high quality protein source is nuts and seeds. If you include a variety of nuts and seeds in meals and snacks, if necessary, it can really help you meet your protein needs without processed foods, which I don't recommend. This supports having steady energy and satiety. Some of the examples include almonds, walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, hemp seeds. Nuts and seeds are excellent sources of protein, healthy fats, and micronutrients like magnesium, which are key for bone health and hormone regulation. Chia and flax seeds in particular also supply beneficial omega-3s for inflammation control and cardiovascular support. And just to let you know, when we're consuming a lot of unhealthy fats, those tend to be higher in omega-6. And so we want to consume more omega-3 fatty acids to help offset the effects of the less quality omega-6s that we're probably getting too much of. So now that you know the importance of choosing high quality whole food proteins to nourish your body after 50, let's look at how your protein needs shift during menopause. As hormone levels change, supporting your muscles, bones, and metabolism with the right type and amount of protein becomes even more essential. So let's dive into the best ways to meet your protein requirements during menopause for optimal midlife wellness. Protein requirements during menopause can change a bit. Maintaining balanced protein intake becomes critical to support muscle, bone, and overall metabolic health. That's what I just mentioned. The hormonal changes during this transition increase the risk for muscle loss, which is known as sarcopenia, and metabolic slowdown, making the type and amount of protein especially important. So I really suggest that you avoid protein powders. They're essentially just processed foods. Our bodies are not designed to process protein that is consumed in this way. It really makes an already compromised digestive system even further compromised. I also don't recommend that you consume dairy as your primary source of protein. Dairy tends to be really difficult to digest and can even cause issues with people that are prone to food sensitivities. Protein powders are really processed foods, and I know this goes against a lot of advice, particularly from the bros that are recommending this 1 gram of protein for every pound of ideal body weight. So just say no to protein powder and avoid dairy when possible. Both are just best excluded alongside gluten and yeast, honestly. Again, these are several of the things that I include in what's known as Fierce 5, and that is dairy, gluten, yeast, sugar, and alcohol. I recommend you avoid those wherever possible. So what do I really recommend? Well, I recommend aiming for about 0.5 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight daily. For example, if your ideal weight is 140 pounds, your daily protein target is about 70 grams. This moderate, evidence-based approach helps sustain lean mass, stabilize blood sugar, and promote satiety without overloading the body. So prioritize high quality whole food protein sources. We've been talking about this for a few moments now, and these protein sources deliver a wide spectrum of amino acids essential for maintaining muscle and bone health, and they contain beneficial nutrients like iron, magnesium, and omega-3s. So they're really nutrient-dense foods. Focus on real, naturally occurring foods to help prevent digestive discomfort and avoid hidden sugars or additives. Adjust for your activity level and personal tolerance. So what I will say is that if you really are spending a lot of time in the gym, and this may not be recommended if you are entering into menopause, because typically our biggest problem is adrenal fatigue and insulin resistance. But if you are spending extra time in the gym, if you're really active, then you may need to consume more protein. So you will need to adjust for your own activity level and personal preference. Always listen to your own body and adjust the protein types and amounts if you experience digestive issues, sensitivities. changes in energy, anything like that. Some people really have a difficult time digesting beef, and if that's you, then you may want to only consume beef in moderation. For me, I know I can feel it in my body. I get certain symptoms when I need that extra iron and some of the nutrients in beef. I don't eat a lot of beef because it is really hard for my system to digest. I eat turkey and that sort of thing, fish on a regular basis, but there are days when I just really need a piece of meat, and I typically get a really high quality grass-fed filet, and I don't need a whole lot. You'll find a really small portion will get you to your 30 grams of protein, and my symptoms go away like that. So it really is important to develop awareness and tune into your body and what works for you. You really want to favor variety within some of these approved protein sources and rotate them to maximize the nutritional value in your intake while avoiding dairy, protein powders, and other things that I don't recommend. I'll walk you through some of the essential guidelines for choosing the right protein during menopause in just a minute, but it's important to realize that what supports your muscles can also tip the balance and possibly even the scale if not managed thoughtfully. Weight and fat accumulation is one of the countless ways stress creates symptoms and other health issues, especially during midlife. I created a video that shows you how to eliminate symptoms naturally, so I'll make sure to link to it below this video, but make sure you hit subscribe too, because I share a lot of tips when it comes to dealing with stress that's become toxic. Relieving the nasty symptoms stress creates makes navigating through midlife a breeze. And remember, you can get my free guide, Talk to Your Doctor So They Listen. Just comment guide or go to drgala.com/links. So let's move on to a topic that's often misunderstood but incredibly important. What actually happens when you eat too much protein? While getting enough protein is vital during midlife and especially menopause, going beyond what your body truly needs or can efficiently process can create its own set of problems. Let's uncover the telltale signs of protein overconsumption and why moderation, not excess, is the key to lasting wellness. So you've probably heard the advice, eat a gram of protein for every pound you weigh. For a 130-pound woman, that means 130 grams of protein a day, which would leave little room for anything else on your plate without overeating or following a strict low-carb diet. The truth is, your body can't efficiently process much more than 30 grams of protein in a 2 to 3 hour period. Anything beyond about 30 grams per meal ends up being stored where the body stores any other excess consumption. This leads to unwanted symptoms instead of results. Some of the signs of overconsumption include digestive issues like bloating, constipation, or diarrhea. This may occur when the body receives more protein than it can efficiently process. You might feel dehydrated. The kidneys work harder to remove byproducts of protein metabolism. This increases the risk of dehydration if you're not consuming enough water. You might also find that you have bad breath, ketosis breath. High protein with low carb intake can produce a distinct odor caused by ketones. You can also increase fat storage. Surplus protein that the body doesn't use for tissue repair or muscle synthesis is converted into glucose and then into fat, contributing to weight gain. It can also lead to mood changes and brain fog due to elevated ammonia and urea, which are the byproducts of excess protein. This can affect cognitive clarity in really sensitive individuals. So what happens when you eat too much protein? Well, as I mentioned, you're going to strain your kidneys. Excess protein intake, especially for those with underlying kidney issues, places additional strain on the kidneys and may accelerate energy loss, muscle breakdown, and promote the storage of excess calories as fat. It's going to convert to glucose. I already mentioned this. When protein consumption regularly exceeds your metabolic need, it's broken down in the liver, converted to glucose through gluconeogenesis, and either used for energy or stored as body fat if energy demands are already met. It can also displace other nutrients, Consistently high protein intake can reduce intake of other important macronutrients and even phytonutrients, which are the ones we're counting on if we're focused on eating a plant-based diet. So some of the studies show that long-term excess protein, particularly from animal sources, could increase risk for certain chronic diseases. So the exact risks vary by individual and overall diet pattern, but it's just important to note that even if you have adopted a carnivore diet, for example, for a period of time targeted for some specific healing purpose, that should not be a long-term strategy. You can use a healing diet for a month or two or maybe 3, but you need to go back to eating a more balanced, nutrient-dense diet and consuming protein in a more natural way, like I'm suggesting here. In a 2025 article shared on Medscape, the potential harms of excessive protein intake, especially for individuals focused on weight loss, were discussed. Some of those were related to heart. Excessive protein intake can elevate cholesterol and cardiovascular disease risks, especially if the diet is heavy in animal proteins and saturated fats. Other hidden protein sources, so these protein powders and these other processed high protein foods like think snack bars and meat substitutes can cause unintentional overconsumption and disrupt proper nutritional balance. So you really want to use a balanced approach. And if you are focused on using a plant-based diet, that can be fantastic, because even a plant-based diet can include some meat-based protein. And so if you're using my suggestion here for the 30 grams per meal, then you want to basically just make sure that you've got some clean, high-quality protein on your plate, and then fill that plate with plants. Incorporating more plant-based proteins like legumes and nuts can even reduce the amount of meat-based protein that you need to get to your 30 grams of protein in a meal. So you can limit the processed foods and animal proteins really and still eat a primarily plant-based diet. This may help reduce health risks and support better metabolic outcomes. Nutrition experts recommend a balanced approach that includes more plant-based proteins and moderation to support long-term health. So just as a recap, what do I recommend? For women reaching the end of their cycling years, meaning, moving into menopause, it's typically sufficient to eat 2 nutrient-dense meals most days. You may splurge now and then or lean into longer periods of fasting on some days, but generally eating 2 meals about 6 hours apart is easily managed. Those 2 meals should be focused on around 30 grams of protein. The standard American diet, also referred to as SAD for obvious reasons, focuses on carbs. So this is the key difference. I don't think we need to eliminate or even seriously restrict carbs, but when we consume 30 grams of protein, we won't want much more food. So here's a few examples. Grilled chicken breast, 4 ounces, has 31 grams of protein. Lean beef, a sirloin steak, in 4 ounces has 31 grams of protein. Ground beef, 4 ounces, has between 25 and 30 grams of protein, depending on the fat content. More fat equals more protein. Pork tenderloin, 4 ounces, has 29 grams of protein. Wild-caught salmon, 5 ounces, has 30 grams of protein. And as I mentioned previously, my favorite is turkey breast. I had turkey breast for lunch today. 4 ounces has a whopping 31 grams of protein. These portions, around a quarter pound, make it easy to hit 30 grams of protein using minimally processed whole meat sources. Choose organic, pasture-raised, or wild-caught options whenever possible. You'll get a few extra grams of protein with your carby sides, and you should feel totally satisfied. Food is our primary fuel source. Quality is as important as quantity. And if your best efforts to live a healthy lifestyle and do all the things you've been led to think are supposed to work aren't quite getting the job done, you may even be feeling like you take 2 steps forward and 3 back. Remember, you can get my free guide, Talk to Your Doctor So They Listen. Just comment guide or go to drgayla.com/links. And in my next video, I'll show you how to manage the toxic stress that's sabotaging your efforts. You can eliminate the symptoms that seem to be piling up in midlife, and you can do this naturally without medication, crazy diets, intense exercise, or any other unsustainable lifestyle hack.